Hi everyone, my name is Abdul, and I suffer yearly from bouts of crippling chronic depression. Normally, my method of dealing with it is never either leaving my room or listening to Hamilton completely on repeat the entire day. Recently, my therapist did have a suggestion that I'm actually going to start to look into, and I want to start writing and journaling daily just for me to get the thoughts out. Naturally, I am going to need a journal, but if I'm going to have a journal, it needs to have that macabre, twisted flair that only I can conjure. That said, let's get started.
Yeah.
For this project, I acquired this other journal from my local Walmart. While I'm a fan of the materials, it does look like something my grandma would throw at me all the time every time I interrupted her soap operas. So to absolve a core memory or two, I'm going to start my prep by modifying this journal. And to begin, I need a sheet of paper, some polishes, and a circle of glass. Said circle of glass, more commonly known as a cabochon, is going to get stylized as my center gemstone of sorts for the journal cover. For all of my custom cabochons, whether they're gems or eyes, I always use an array of nail polishes for a more vibrant color. That said, I always recommend using a respirator and being in a well-ventilated area, as some of the polishes will have some intense fumes, especially any polishes that are metallic or have a hard coat blended in. After the gem is painted and looks good, at least to my liking, I am going to set it to the side to allow it time to completely dry while I start to build the chassis of my journal cover. As with several of my projects, the chassis will be made using armature wire and aluminum foil as the base layer. I'm taking my armature wire and shaping out the outline against the journal, and once it is shaped to fit, I'm going to wrap it with several thin sheets of aluminum foil to preserve the shape, and then after that I'm going to add a layer of Super Sculpting Ultralight on top. With the ultralight added and chassis now measured correctly, my gem piece is now dry enough to be placed in the center of my future cover, and I take my clay cutter to straighten out the sides of the journal to be more uniform. This will then get baked in my toaster oven at 200 degrees for 20 minutes. Once it's cooled down, this is my weekly, hey fam, your cam didn't record anything moment, as I made two separate sets of gems for the corners which didn't record at all. So, I apologize for my camera's lack of effort. Anyway, that all said, now that the cover's cooled down, I can now start by adding the final layers of clay, which is going to be Super Sculpting and Original, and taking thin sheets of clay to add to the cover, all while digesting my favorite true crime podcast in the background.
Yes, sir. He wrote that he wanted Kelly to come over so they could talk, and maybe more. When he found out she was packing to move, he offered to help her move into his room. David persisted.
Once the entire front and sides are all wrapped in clay, I use one of my custom sculpting tools to drag and roll all across the entirety of the cover, just to add a base fleshy leathery appearance to the journal. From this point, the footage does sell itself pretty accurately, so I would like to take a moment to be brave and step out of my comfort zone so I can address a sensitive topic. If you like, you can skip to the time step on No Hard Feelings, and it'll continue with the finalization of the cover. For everyone else, I do thank you for listening, and furthermore, I actually do hope that it helps. So let's be brave. As I stated at the beginning, since the age of 7, I have been battling severe and chronic depression, and it comes in severe waves, especially the last few years. It's gradually heightened around these holidays since I lost my mom to cancer 6 years ago. I won't sugarcoat it. Being depressed and not having a constructive way to channel feelings, it f***ing sucks. I've been there. It's exhausting and it leaves a weight of defeat across all aspects of your life. While it is difficult, I am learning it can be combated. As my therapist often educates me, happiness is a reward for those who keep fighting and seek the good moments routinely and lean on the people or things that bring them joy. For myself, I do have a great support system of friends and family, but my absolute joy comes from my best friend, the absolute greatest thing in the world, and one of the greatest aspects that I have currently in my life. Anytime I'm having a bad day, I see his smile and wag, and it makes all the sorrows go away. That's my buddy Bishop. He is truly the homie of homies. He may not always appreciate the art that I make, or understand the art that I make, but without a doubt, he is the absolute reason why I do it. Speaking of that, I've learned that depression is a great engine to be creative. Besides my sculpting and masks that I make, I also do paint and started getting into sketching a few months ago. I've found the more that I can create, even if it's the result that I'm not hoping for or it's not that great, I feel my confidence grow, and overall my levels of sadness do become more manageable. So I highly recommend it. So look, I'll end it on this. I'm not here to be a therapist or a counselor. If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one. My goal with just sharing this is to be like many of you. I'm depressed, I'm lost, and for what it's worth, I'm also looking for happy moments. My advice is just to always keep fighting. We all have battles the average person doesn't see, and sometimes we don't want them to see. You're not alone, and you are not losing. Every day is another round. So take care of yourselves and give yourself some grace. You woke up today and you fought. That means something, and it will always mean something. Keep fighting. And as I say often, always find a way to believe in yourselves. And if you can't do it today, it's alright, because I'll believe in you until you're ready. Once I finish the final detailing with my silicone stylus, I will drizzle randomly oven-baked clay adhesive in some of the open areas just to have as a final layer of texture. After this is applied, I will put the cover on top of some parchment paper and then put this in my toaster oven to bake for another 20 minutes. Once it's fully cooled down, I'll take a few moments just to gaze at the amazement that I made, and then I'm going to do a final check to make sure it's going to fit on the cover, which admittedly I probably should have done before, but hey, it worked out, it fits, and I am very excited about it, and we can continue to the next steps. Using some instant super glue, the cover will get locked into its forever home by me holding it in place for several minutes. After this, I do verify it is locked in and do a quick test run just to make sure it is working. Once I do verify it is working, we can move forward with painting this week. Initially, I started using Dollar Roundy's pearlescent acrylic ink in black just to have it as a base layer. While normally I would airbrush this on, this specific pigment is not recommended to airbrush because the particles inside of it can lead to immense clogging due to the shimmery bits. That said, after several minutes of this not working to my liking, I decided to say f*** it and go with plan B. Plan B equates to mixing some standard acrylic inks, specifically equal parts of sepia brown, flame orange, and scarlet red. Once everything's blended, I can put it in my airbrush and spray it thoroughly all across the journal, and I'm going to be cautious to make sure it gets to some of the hidden gaps and folds, and also make sure that it's evenly spread across the outlines as well. I use the same color to weatherize the journal, specifically along the spine and backing for a desired weather effect to make it appear this could have been found on one of Indiana Jones's many escapades. I then colorized the end pages of the journal by holding the journal down tightly and spraying evenly across the edges. Then I will flip through the pages to make sure that they're not sticking. Repeat the entire process on the longer edge with my scarlet red color, and then spend a paltry 15 minutes making sure none of the pages are sticking to each other back to back. The final weatherizing will be dabbing on old yellow, metallic red, and gold chrome onto varied areas of the journal for a lasting effect. Once applied, I will then take some airbrush cleaner on a small paper towel to clean off my cabochon gems, and then remove the remainder with the Chico stick. As I was finishing this piece up to get ready to send it to the Never place, I sensed something else was much needed to bring this journal some much needed flair, which just so happened to come in this gold marker that is absolutely chrome. A few strokes on the gems, and I can happily say that I absolutely made the right decision, as this brought all of those details I had spent hours previously making completely to life. So let this be another lesson. Sometimes on a project, that absolute last piece, or that stroke of paint, or that last detail can help elevate your work and not have you feel that you wasted several hours of your life making it, which is why I am always a strong advocate to always finish what you start, no matter what. Sometimes it doesn't go the right way, sometimes it ends up beautifully, but it's always a process to get to that point in your work. That said, this gold absolutely saved this week's project, and I am super excited that I went this route. So with that said, once everything is absolutely golden, I leave my thing to dry after I edge the pages on the journal because, I have to do it. Once you have gold out, everything has to be gold. With that said though, I do go ahead and leave this to dry, do a final check, and then we can officially bring my stress reliever to the Never place. I want to take a moment and just thank all of you who watch my videos and further enjoy my creations. It really does mean a lot to me to know that I have your support. Hopefully you enjoyed this week's project as well, and I just want to also thank you for allowing me a chance to share my struggles and furthermore be brave for a few moments. If you did enjoy today's video, it would mean the world to me if you would hit the like button, as it does wonders for my channel and self-esteem. Hit the subscribe button for future updates, and if you're inclined, feel free to share this video with your friends and loved ones. I'll be back next week with a new project, but for now, I got some much needed writing to do. So I'm going to go ahead get some of that started. As always, I will see you all on the next one. Take care, many blessings, and we'll see you next time, folks.